You ready?
My hair, okay. Just kidding.
Really?
Yeah. Hi, this is Cory Endrulat's very unorthodox video, and that's because I'm here with my sister, Krystal Endrulat.
Hello.
And what we're doing this video for is a Q&A. So I don't usually talk about myself in other videos, and I don't usually go into like how I, came about and blah, blah, blah. People were wondering, and I think this is good for future reference for people maybe don't know who I am, so this may provide some further context to that. And she might ask some questions, we might, I know there's certain things that I want to talk about, so let's get right into it.
So I feel like a lot of people don't know how old you are, and I think that's really interesting because of how knowledgeable you really are, and I feel like people really think that you're much older than what you really are. So let the public know how old you really are, or young you really are.
And for the record, she might do a Q&A in her channel too, so that way she
sure.
can talk about herself if people are wondering, okay? Because it's not just all about me, and I just want to make this clarifying, because this video would be way too long if she had to share her thoughts as well. But I want her to share info about herself if people are interested. Follow her on her channel. I have it linked in the description. Okay, the question was...
Who's editing it? It's more like I'm putting it in the description.
Yes, you're editing it.
Hello.
I forgot to mention that. She's editing this video, and it's amazing.
I don't know why he wants me to edit it. I guess I have this special technique.
Yes.
I don't know.
And so I'm 19 years old.
He's 19. He's like a walking encyclopedia, I would say.
You can look at people like Soph, somebody who was banned off of YouTube. Look at people like Naomi Seipt from Germany. She's the same age as myself. There's many individuals out there, and I've contacted many individuals as well. And it's just, we have this moral obligation for our generation to want to do something and create some change that perhaps the other generations have not learned from the past, have not learned from history. So it's more of a moral obligation. I don't want to be involved in politics. I don't want to be on the public stage. But when there's change that has to be done, and you see there's personal benefits, you see there's worldwide benefits, you see that you can potentially save lives, then yes, I'm interested in doing that. Yeah, and so age has never really been a big concern for myself, because I mean, I never really looked at it like that. Certainly I progressed through the ages, and I started my research at around 13, so I just simply used my tools valuably. Like, having the internet at our disposal, we can look up pretty much anything we'd like and find any information, and then making real-world observations and trying to connect the dots is where the real change actually comes into. So that's what I've done with nutritional work and looking at different foods, labels, ingredients, and then I got into nutrition. So I started around maybe 13 years old, I don't know. And then...
No, you were very young. I remember I was still in high school. Well, I was like towards the end of high school, going into college, and that's when you really transformed our household. Looking into the ingredient labels, really looking into the food industry, and really knowing what we're putting into our bodies. You really woke us up about that. And you were really young. And do you feel being so young is, I don't know if it's like a burden, but do you feel like you have a really big objective? And do you feel like it's almost taking a toll on you that you're doing too much because you're this young? Or is this allowing you to grow?
Well, if you were to take a look at, for example, like the AB blood type, they're more adapted to the modern world. Now, I don't think I'm that blood type. I'm pretty sure I'm not, and my whole family is more along blood type O. Maybe that has some of the leadership qualities in it. However, when we grow up in such a modern, adapted world where we have a lot of technology and so forth, we start to adapt just better to it, because as human beings, we have that ability to adapt. Is it ever overwhelming for me? Well, there were times where, amidst my research and learning more about the world, I did a lot of deep thinking, like days on end, sometimes, crying, emotional things. And you got to break a lot of barriers in your head, especially if you're programmed from a very young age about the world around you and the people that are in it and the beliefs especially that are set upon you. Because school only provides you with one way of learning, and that's often repetition. And so through my own research and through observation, I was getting other ways of learning. So therefore, I saw the benefits of it, and it allowed me to also be different in character, to help myself stand out a little bit more, and it gave me that sense of feeling more special. And I think anybody would like that, being in the same shoes, where they get to express something that other people don't know and provide valuable insight where other people do not have that. So nutrition was a way for me to do that. Now, that being said, I've always had this personal seeking toward truth. So whether it be nutrition or health, I would always connect things to a bigger picture. I want to see things that would challenge my own beliefs and the pre-existing beliefs. And that's very important when it comes to cognitive dissonance and innovation. But I have a tendency to want to criticize myself and see where I can. And I want other people to help me do that. It helps bring more accountability to myself. And it also keeps me less, left brain dominant in this left brain dominant world. Especially if you're entering this realm of politics or whatever, which I don't think anybody in the right mind wants to really frankly get into. It's just something, like I said, you feel to more obligation. Why you have all these people who actively want to rule over you, and you question, well, why is that? Is it because they don't see this bigger picture that we can't just live our lives in peace and with one another, coexistence? And it's just that simple. And I try to keep it simple, but when I go to the health terms, yes, I'm going to the left brain more because I'm talking about science and talking about mathematics, and it gets more complicated. So I have a sense to want to complicate things, but also a sense to want to simplify things. As you start to see all the bigger picture and you start to see all the details add up, you realize, okay, you really do have to simplify it down over time. So it's just wisdom that has had to be set it into my brain over time through just observing the natural world around us. Yeah, but is there anything else along those lines that I didn't address?
No,
Sorry, I'm jumping all over the place.
I just think people are just gonna be shocked that you're so young and that you're doing all these things. You have all these projects and goals to achieve, and you just have this really big idea, and you have such a good grasp on things already because you did start at such a young age. And I feel like now all you can do is just aim higher and higher and higher and just change the world and change the lives around you from just one small step. But that one small step is going to eventually evolve into something big. I guess my next question is, what do you eat? I feel like a lot of people are like, you're so strict on what you preach what you say, right? And you walk the talk. So I think the people want to know, like, what do you eat? And how does that affect you mentally, physically, spiritually? Like, how does that affect your workload and creativity?
I do want to talk about that. Like, I did take a nutrition course also at age 14, and then in addition to the one at 18. And during that time, I did a lot of research. And also, just to add on to the other point, was I ran a guild in World of Warcraft with thousands of people at 16.
He's a huge gamer.
And the reason why that's a big deal to me was because we basically ran the realm, and it was on a private server. And I had to learn a lot of leadership-like qualities and how to deal with people who were, crazy and starting a whole bunch of drama. And it was something, it's like you really had to put in order everything that you wanted to put in there. So what was the question?
Well, I mean, that's fly. He's not allowed in the interview. No, the question was, what do I eat? What do you eat? Are you under a specific diet? Do you follow along a certain guideline like that? Yeah, so I make it very clear on my video website. I have one separately to talk more about myself. It's if you go to ceenature.wix.com/Nita video. I'll have it. It's really long, so I'll have it on the screen.
Okay, yeah, because it's not an official domain. And that has some information about myself. And I believe there's also a video on there that is not on my YouTube channel. But it just talks about some of that. As for my own diet, I typically stick along the lines of healthy fats, plant-based foods for the most part, and little portions of meat. We see that to be the most sustainable. It's not that you have to get rid of meat as a whole, but it's always an emphasis on quality over quantity. And when you focus on that quality, you don't really need to eat that much. And when people are focused on calories or how much to eat, that's often the wrong focus to put. It's just like exercise, where I made that video saying that less is more. Because it really depends on the quality and depends on yourself. So everybody has their own diet as well. And I'm clearly emphasizing this too on my book, so I think my book will put this all into great perspective, which is why I don't also talk about it too much, because it's important to get the bigger picture of dieting and not just one person's way of their own way of eating or their own view upon eating. And it's very important to get that bigger perspective and see how other people succeed.
Now versus when you started, did you see a change of diet? Did you see a change of things that you've been adding in to your like regimens and
for sure.
overall like not just food, but like overall like what you use to clean, what you wash your body with? Like, do you see how that has affected you and stuff like that?
It was more of a natural change, I will say, because when you start to wake up and you start to ask more questions, you start to want to look into pretty much everything. And when your mind starts to open, maybe some of the foods contribute to that, and you're exercising more and you have other influences in your life, you start to really see and want to keep expanding the mind and keep looking further and further. And as long as you're not stuck in one area, then you will keep expanding the mind and you will see the bigger picture. But people often like to stick themselves into certain belief systems or certain doctrines, and that is often the very dangerous thing that a lot of human beings tend to do. Like, even when it comes to simple arguments like spherical earth versus flat earth, it's hard, because perhaps I would say the answer is with neither. And it's one that it takes a lot of understanding to perhaps see an even bigger picture than any picture. It's like that's above human knowledge. There's certain things that, yes, we can call common sense, and NASA's probably not correct nearly as much as, they are. But it's a bigger picture to where, okay, people on the flat earth are still talking about things that are above human knowledge, and we have to understand that we don't really know anything, and we can accept the fact that we don't really know much about our world today.
We don't, because we have never physically been up in outer space to see it for our own eyes. We're only taking others' perspectives in their
that too, but are we supposed to? And is that something that humans...
Is that in our human blueprint?
Yeah, and you may say, okay, well, we can, but should we? And should we be funding all these major space programs? But okay, that's beside the point. You can get into anything, is what I'm saying, and you can go detail into detail, and as long as you're not afraid to speak about anything, you will seek to learn more about anything. It starts with a simple conversation, it starts with a simple question, and that sparks in your mind as an idea that can expand way further into the horizon.
Hold on, let's wait. I wonder if me doing this is shaking. Oh, it is shaking, okay. So don't hit the table. Wait for the biker to leave. All right. Who would you say is, or there could be many, is your mentor? Like, what really inspires you? I feel like you have a lot of people that you follow.
I knew this question would come. How am I supposed to answer that? I mean, obviously, it's like, I'm not going to pick and choose, but I said it to Mark Passio himself, that he's my favorite researcher. So I'd have to say him for the most part, because of how he puts things into detail in very specific terms. However, I've been following so many people. Most notoriously, who woke me up to a lot of the health stuff is Food Babe, and then going into natural news and Mike Adams, the health ranger. And it's just so many people, frankly, that it's just, I think I thought about doing a video where I just show all these people, because they're all getting censored, and it's like, who knows if I ran into somebody a couple years ago and I would never find them again because they're off of YouTube and they're off of all the platforms that I originally found them. Like, this internet has changed so much in just the past couple years, I've noticed it. And I think all the events in my life has really led up very like synchronicity wise, because it's just everything has happened in such an orderly fashion. And then you see this coronavirus stuff happening, and the doctor we work with is kind of like cool because it allows him to get stuff done. And in a way, I kind of feel the same a little bit because I get to work on my book more. So we find other things to do, and we make substitutions as possible. There's definitely a lot of confusion.
Don't hit the table.
Okay.
It shakes the camera.
Sorry. And there's definitely a lot of confusion in our society, especially among our generation. So I want to address that and stick along our generation, not always, the boomer generation, if you will. So it's just important to me. That's why, like, my gaming channel, I don't use it anymore, but like Asmongold's a really good inspiration for me too, because he's very intelligent. despite what he eats. You know, honestly, it just shows you that what you eat doesn't necessarily mean anything. If you put the right ideas into your head, you have the right environments for yourself. And having that isolation, which he often thrives on, is actually very good for creativity in many cases. So I assume that there's actually many people from around the world who are not out and about, not out about in society, you know, going out there talking to people like me, and they actually see things that I don't, and they're super creative, and they're probably, you know, they could create things like really cool that nobody else has even thought of because of their social isolation. It actually comes with many benefits, and you see that also like in books like Ender's Game, for example, but I haven't read many fictional books like that. That was one required in school, and many of those were not always the best. So education was another thing perhaps I can get into. Yeah. Is like, I was public schooled and then cyber schooled, and you were as well, right? Yeah. So we had best of both worlds, essentially. We had both experiences. And cyber school is definitely very different, and we see it as more of the future, but we see that there are some good things about both. And so it was perhaps best that we did get an experience of both, but public school wasn't always the best for me. At the time, I liked to annoy people. I actually, it was something that I didn't really make many friends in public school, and because I just didn't have that social aspect to my life. And now I can make friends with anybody, shall I wish to do so. Right. Just with a level of understanding and just getting down to their level and just, you know, chilling out.
Well, I also feel that cyber school really allowed you to grow and have the freedom to do a lot of things. Like, we were involved in theater, we were able to do...
Probably more research.
Yeah, I feel like that's when you really started to really grow, is because you were able to take that nutrition course.
Yeah. Less distractions.
Yeah.
You didn't have to worry about, you know, kids threatening to beat you up or whatever. I mean, these kids did the stupidest things and pushed ideas into my mind that probably weren't the most helpful.
So what grades were you cyber schooled?
7th grade to
graduation.
12, yeah.
And after that, what did you do?
After that, I went right into the Institute for Integrative Nutrition. I didn't want to waste my time. I just was like, go right into it. And then and I made that decision very, you know, speculating the world and how it's going with the economy, and seeing how modern colleges are just not all that great, and I've had to spend 8 years doing that. Meanwhile, I could have done 1 year of this and get direct experience, don't have to deal with the loads of debt. So I always like to consider alternatives, right? Like, just like how I found alternative media and alternative medicine, now I'm finding an alternative school. Like, you find this path and you choose that destiny, and you understand the other paths, but you realize which one is best for you, and that's what I went with.
Amen. Right? Amen. And the fact that you already had that in your head and like kind of set in stone, saying, hey, listen, I'm going to graduate high school and then kind of explore this whole entire holistic healing, alternative medicine, really guiding and supporting people in a very natural way that's organic to the world, and then really showing a message to that as well, is so cool. And I feel like you inspire me, and it's so funny because, and this video is not about me, but he was the one who really, I did not know what I wanted to do in life, and I graduated from high school, I graduated from college, and still then I had no idea what I really wanted to do. And so he was like, Krystal, why don't you do this with me? Why don't we go to the Institute for Integrative Nutrition, try it out and see what happens? And literally the first 2 months of taking this, you know, taking the courses, I was like, wow, I kind of was woken up. And I feel like that, and along with you kind of changing our household to be everything whole foods and organic and really looking at nutrition labels, really transformed our whole entire family's lives.
And I did rants like on end, right? Like before I had my YouTube channel.
Yes, if you've seen any of my videos on my channel, the reason why they're so lengthy is because of this young one.
Yeah, you got to produce more content of your own. People want to see you.
You're very knowledgeable, and you know what you're talking about, and you stand for what you believe in, which is huge.
I try.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, I feel like it. You know, everybody's got to try to their own best efforts, and I don't praise myself in any way, because there's so much more that could be done, and there's so much that I haven't done. So it's just a matter of just always trying to become the best that you can be. You can only. For sure. Yeah, and you know, I'm always going to have that level of confidence, but I'm not going to let it try to control my life either. So it's just all about accountability. It's all about balance. We see that with everything. And yeah, I'm not going to make this any longer, but I think that's as simple as it needs to be. I have simple intentions, and I don't think, you know, sharing more details about myself, I don't really have any much more to say. I was raised in a very good family, very tight family, so I have a lot of those structures already in place that a lot of people perhaps don't have, and that's what makes me want to only push further and helping other people have the same. Well, yeah, it's like, and it's not just like me projecting onto the world, but seeing what is actually right. Like, family is necessary. You know, the male and the female, the masculine and the feminine, it's all necessary. And when you see there's an imbalance in society, I mean, somebody's got to speak up. And if I'm not doing it, who will? And that's what really inspired me to do Nita. It's like, if I'm not going to do it, who's going to do it? If nobody's going to speak the truth, who's going to do it?
Yeah. Who's going to take the risk and take out the fear component? Because I feel like a lot of people are afraid to, you know, go out of their boundaries, their safety zones.
So I just thought, like, why not just do it, you know?
Do we want to talk about like your movement and your book and what you're working on, future projects?
No.
Okay.
No.
I guess you guys are just gonna have to stay tuned.
Yeah, we'll just have to find out for yourselves.
It is so hot. My hair is literally sticking to me, and I just took a shower. Oh, is this about me now? I'm sorry.
So, any details you want to share about yourself?
No, I mean, I feel like that would be a whole separate video.
Okay. So yeah, do follow her channel in the description below. I'll try to give a lot of links into the other link that I said before that was super long. And I hope you enjoyed this little Q&A. If you have any questions, actually drop it below this video, because that would be really important, and I can address it right in the comment section, or we might make another video. If you want to see more of her, let her know. Comment on her videos or comment in the description below. And yeah, because I want to see more content from you, and we have more planned in the future. So please stay tuned to that. Yeah,
and give this video a big thumbs up. Comment below, like he said. Make sure you subscribe. Support him and what he does. Support all the beliefs and all the messages that he's trying to push forward into the world. It's so hard to...
People just gotta chill. That's it. They just gotta chill out. They just gotta chill out. That's frankly it. But that being said, the people who already know that they can chill out and with ease, they have to tell the other people that are going crazy in the world, setting fires to the streets, like, dude, chill out. Like, relax. There's nothing to worry about. If you just don't cause anything, there's not going to be anything to worry about in the first place. We are the problem. But yeah, it's just that simple. You know, you chill out. You're in the sun. You know, you got water somehow, somewhere. Okay, we're lucky to have that, and you can find the water somewhere else. Our ancestors often lived near oceans, and people love going there for vacation. So just keep those environments around you that you know will support you. Keep the people by you that you know will support you, because I'm very thankful to have Krystal by my side. And so thank you for watching, and if you are supportive as well, I thank you. Take care. This is Cory Endrulat. Nature's the answer.
Oh, am I supposed to say bye? Okay, hi. Hi and bye. My name is Krystal Endrulat. You can follow me at Krystal Endrulat anywhere, or Health Coach Krystal anywhere.
All right. Thank you. Thanks for watching. Goodbye. There's not really much, is there? I mean, like, what's my favorite color?
Yeah, what's your favorite color?
I mean, blue and green.
I was gonna say green.
Color.
Any natural color, any earthy color.
I like all colors. I mean, it's kind of hard to pick again. Like, I'm the worst person to ask a Q&A to, because I'll play really devil's advocate and fight my own will just to seek a bigger picture. But it's
favorite fruit, go.
Favorite fruit? Ooh, maybe that one's easier. No, it isn't. I like grapefruit because I tried it recently, which is something that you have to get used to.
Yeah, I like to blend into things, but that's, you like it straight
apparently
up, right?
Some people have like genes that maybe they'll like it more, I don't know. But I like cacao, that's a fruit.
Say that again, because there was something in the background.
Cacao, chocolate.
Cacao, okay.
Chocolate.
Chocolate.
It's a vegetable, eat it.
Chocolate?
So, yeah, and chocolate. Coconut's great.
Ooh, coconut.
I never liked coconut. For the record, I never liked any of these fruits. I won't even eat fruit salad. I never even ate fruit until I got into and changed my palate through time. So you just eat the foods that you know that you enjoy is your favorites, and then through time, you start to experiment with other foods and your palate changes. It's crazy.
Let me tell you something. When he was younger, he would not even touch a single piece of fruit. And it was so funny because you always had this thing right before school. Every time, like, whenever you had to go to school, whenever you had to go to like a big event or whatever, he would have Lucky Charms. Because he had this belief that he would get luck from it, and it's so cute. I mean, being a toddler eating Lucky Charms, thinking you get all the luck from the charms, very cute.
So you see how I was like in that belief system where I was everything I was told I believed. So I was once one of those people. Okay?
Yeah.
And that's actually a good point you mentioned, because
thank you.
in health class in school, you know, they taught you about germs and how germs are so bad and you need to wash your hands and everything. So guess what? That sunk into my head, thinking, wow, I should be afraid of every germ, and I became a germophobic.
Oh,
and,
yeah, I totally forgot that little phase of your life.
That kind of gave way to this healing person that I am, where I look out for certain things, and I'm not like orthorexia. But I see now the bigger picture, and I see how I was like super fearful. I see how I obeyed. And it's very interesting to see that there's certain things that I can point out from my past that relate to who I am now and what made me who I am.
Well, it shaped you, and you learned from it.
Yeah, but there's still more to do, and then I'm sure by that time we can make another Q&A.
Yes,
so.
of course. But hold on, you covered fruit, favorite vegetable.
Yeah.
Go.
Oh, favorite vegetable. So, obviously leafy dark greens are probably the healthiest for most individuals.
Word.
So, you know, that counts as a vegetable. I still consider cacao a vegetable, so it's just literally the same answer.
Sure.
But vegetables?
Favorite liquid?
Everything. It's just liquid. Water.
I thought you were
Coconut
going to
water.
say coconut water. Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for having me in the video and bothering your audience.
There's a lot of work to be done, and there's many other individuals who are doing it. So it's just about reaching out to them and connecting the works, connecting the dots. People in the health field don't often go to the political extreme, even though they probably should, because they're limited to do certain things. They can't say, you know, an herb is patented, so they're emphasized to give out drugs. They're only taught certain things. So there's clearly change to be done in the medical field that extends to the political realm, and when you see big pharma's influence, that's necessary. So it's dot connection, connecting the dots, and that's
.com.
So that's what I'm doing here, is like, okay, well, the only thing that's missing here is people don't know who I am. So if I'm presenting information that potentially is helpful for some individuals, and it's my movement, even though it's everybody's, I am a fellow messenger, so I can talk about myself, and you can talk about yourself, and everybody can share their own journey, and then you create a bigger presence within your neighborhood and your communities, just like we are, and it's just a communal effort.
Yeah. Excellent.
Thank you.
Thank you.